What's up, Notjust developers? Welcome back to a new tutorial where we will learn how to monetize our React Native application with in-app subscription using RevenueCat. First of all, let's jump into it and see what exactly we're gonna build today to learn all this new stuff. So in order to implement in-app subscriptions, we are going to build a very popular paywall style application similar to Medium. If you don't know about Medium, this is an application where you can read blog posts from a lot of people. And the idea there is that you have a limited number of posts to read with a free version. And after you reach that limit, you're gonna see a screen like this where it will ask you if you want to continue reading posts, you need to subscribe to get unlimited access. After you press continue on this page, you're gonna be redirected to the paywall that will display all available products, and from where you will be able to buy a subscription to unlock all the features of the application. So if you're interested in building this, continue watching till the end and let's get started. First of all, let's discuss a bit about what are in-app subscription. In-app subscription is a way to monetize your application by providing extra content or extra features to the pro users that are paying monthly. And some particularities about the subscription business model for your mobile application is that the payments are usually collected automatically on a period based, for example, weekly, monthly, or yearly. Another important thing to know about subscription specifically in mobile application is that all the transactions should happen through the store that the user used to download the application. So if case for iOS applications, the transaction should be handled by Apple, and in case for Android application, that transaction should be handled by Play Store. This thing leads to a couple of problems, and in order to implement properly in-app subscription for both iOS and Android, especially if you're building a hybrid application with React Native or Flutter or any other hybrid solutions, then it becomes a lot harder to manage this subscription in your application because you have to integrate with both Play Store and Apple Store. At the end of the day, you will have two sources of truth for your subscription data. Furthermore, this leads to even more problems when you want to analyze your customer data, your subscription data, because there is no one single source of truth for all of this data. So you will have to manually aggregate all the data from Play Store, Apple Store, when you want to take a decision based on analytics related to subscriptions. Lucky for us developers, there is a great tool for us to integrate in our application in order to easier manage our subscription and in-app purchases. Here I'm talking RevenueCat, and RevenueCat is actually sponsoring today's video, so thank you very much for that. With RevenueCat, you simply integrate your application with RevenueCat, then you connect your RevenueCat account with Play Store and Apple Store, and behind the scenes RevenueCat manages all the hard parts about in-app subscriptions, and the only thing you have to do is to just integrate with their SDK, check if a customer is subscribed, show him the content that you want to show, and that's all. The great part about RevenueCat is that now you have a single source of truth for your customer data and subscription data, so you can log in easily in your account and see an aggregation of all the data there, which makes it very easy for us to make informed decisions based on data. We're gonna use RevenueCat throughout this tutorial to implement subscriptions, so get your free account in the description below and let's start monetizing our applications. If you want to follow along and build the same application as I am doing, which I highly encourage you to do, then you'll need a couple of things. These are, you first of all need a React Native environment setup. After that, you will need an application that is deployed to Apple App Store and or to the Play Market in order for us to be able to set the subscription there and connect with our RevenueCat account. Also, you'll need a RevenueCat account and as well the asset bundle that I prepared for you, and you can download here at assets.notjust.dev/medium paywall. And this asset bundle will include the starter project that we are gonna use today as the beginning to implement subscriptions. However, if you want to integrate the same thing in your own application, that's also possible because we're gonna touch only on the subscription model. So it will be easy to take the things that we're doing here and integrate it in your own project. So after you download the asset bundle, let's move on to the next step and let's get started by setting up the project, running it on our system, and then we will get started with purchases. So open the asset bundle that you just downloaded, and here you'll see the Medium Paywall zip. Let's unzip this directory that contains the starter project. Also here you will find the presentation that I'm using here if you want to follow along and access some links that I'm providing there. After you unzip the project, open it in your editor of choice. In my case, that's VS Code. And then open a terminal from here, new terminal, and let's first of all, install all the dependencies using npm install. The next step is only if you are working on a macOS system and developing for iOS, and we need to install the pods. So to do that, npx pod install. Now, after all the dependencies are installed, we can run our development server with npm start. And then let's open another terminal by pressing on this plus sign. And from here, let's run our application on our device. So npm run iOS if you want to run it on an iOS simulator, or Android if you want to run it on Android device or emulator. So I'm gonna work with an iOS device right now because it runs better on my machine, but for you, you can do both iOS or Android depending on your system. And after that is completed, here is our application that we will use today. As we can see, here is the home screen that renders a list of posts where we can press and read the post, go back, read the post, and so on. And if we look into the source folder, if we go to the screens, let's go to the post screen, post-screen.js. And here, if I change the paywall shown from false to true, now if I'm gonna open a post, I will see the paywall here keep reading and I cannot scroll here the application. After that, if I press continue, I will be redirected to this actual paywall screen that will render the available products. At the moment, these are hard-coded, but the goal of our today's tutorial is to integrate with RevenueCat, fetch the products from the RevenueCat, and display them here with a possibility to press like start free trial. Now real quick, let's look at the project structure and what we will have to work with. If we open the src directory here, we see the components folder first, and in the components we have the small paywall that we see here on the bottom, and also the post list item that is the post displaying this list. Then we have the screens. This is an important folder which contains all the screens. Here we have a home screen that you see here on the right. Then we have a post screen, and this is the screen that displays one single post. And also we have a paywall screen, which is this one in this case. Everything is put together using navigation, and all the code for the navigation you can find here in the navigation index. That's it. It's a pretty small project, and you can play around with it to understand better all the components and screens, but we're gonna get through it while we build our paywalls. All right, so our first step is done. Let's move on. The next step is to install and set up React Native purchases in our application. RevenueCat has a very good documentation, so let's open it and have it as a reference to look back and see if what we are doing is what we need to do. So the first step is to install the React Native purchases package, which is the RevenueCat package for React Native. I'm gonna copy this command from here and open a terminal and paste it here. After we install the library, let's run npx pod install to install the pods. And this is, again, only for macOS users. All right, so after that is done, we can rerun our application on an emulator, because that's necessary to include the new package that we have added. So let's run npm run iOS or npm run Android. And while this is building, we can go in our app.js. We can import the purchases package in order to see if it will not throw us any errors. So let's do purchases from React Native purchases. That's it. We're gonna set up later Now I just want to see that there is no error with this purchases library. And after that is completed, here is our application that we will use today. As we can see, here is the home screen that renders a list of posts where we can press and read the post, go back, read the post, and so on. And if we look into the source folder, if we go to the screens, let's go to the post screen.js. And here, if I change the paywall shown from false to true, now if I'm gonna open a post, I will see the paywall here keep reading and I cannot scroll here the application. After that, if I press continue, I will be redirected to this actual paywall screen that will render the available products. At the moment, these are hard-coded, but the goal of our today's tutorial is to integrate with RevenueCat, fetch the products from the RevenueCat, and display them here with a possibility to press like start free trial. Now real quick, let's look at the project structure and what we will have to work with. If we open the src directory here, we see the components folder first, and in the components we have the small paywall that we see here on the bottom, and also the post list item that is the post displaying this list. Then we have the screens. This is an important folder which contains all the screens. Here we have a home screen that you see here on the right. Then we have a post screen, and this is the screen that displays one single post. And also we have a paywall screen, which is this one in this case. Everything is put together using navigation, and all the code for the navigation you can find here in the navigation index. That's it. It's pretty small project, and you can play around with it to understand better all the components and screens, but we're gonna get through it while we build our paywalls. All right, so our first step is done. Let's move on. The next step is to install and set up React Native purchases in our application. RevenueCat has a very good documentation, so let's open it and have it as a reference to look back and see if what we are doing is what we need to do. So the first step is to install the React Native purchases package, which is the RevenueCat package for React Native. I'm gonna copy this command from here and open a terminal and paste it here. After we install the library, let's run npx pod install to install the pods. And this is, again, only for macOS users. All right, so after that is done, we can rerun our application on an emulator, because that's necessary to include the new package that we have added. So let's run npm run iOS or npm run Android. And while this is building, we can go in our app.js. We can import the purchases package in order to see if it will not throw us any errors. So let's do purchases from React Native purchases. That's it. We're gonna set up later. Now I just want to see that there is no error with this purchases library. And after we see the successful launch app on simulator, we see again the application without any changes, but the good thing is that it doesn't raise any errors, which means that we installed correctly our purchases library. All right, but that's not all. Now the next steps, in order to be able to use in-app purchases in our applications, we need to enable this feature both on Android and on iOS. So if we go here, we need to enable in-app purchases capability for our iOS project. And to do that, again, this is only for iOS and macOS developers. I'm gonna open Xcode, and from Xcode, let's press open a project or a file. Then navigate to your project. In my case, this is Medium. From this folder, let's choose iOS. And from iOS, let's choose the name of our project, not just Medium. And important is that we need to open the XC workspace, not the code project, but the workspace. So let's open it up. And after it is opened, let's select our project from the leftmost panel here. After that, let's go to under the targets, select our name of a project, and under the signing and capabilities, let's press on this plus capability to add a new capability. Here, let's search YAP. or in-app purchase. And here we have it. Let's select it. And we have it added here under our project. That's it with iOS. We can now close Xcode for now because we will not need it for a moment. And now let's move on to do the same thing but for Android. For Android, to enable in-app purchases or billing, we will go to the Android folder in our VS Code. Let's open Application, App, Source, Main, and under Main we have the Android manifest. What we have to do is to add a new permission for our application, and to do that let's grab the permission from our documentation, go back and add the com.android.vending billing permission to enable this capability. One thing about this permission is that without this permission, you will not be able to set up in-app purchases on Play Market. So what we have to do now is to release a new update of our version to include this billing permission so that we can later set up our in-app subscription. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna publish a new update of this application on Market. And for me, I'm using EAS. So I'm just gonna simply run EAS build -- platform Android to build the application with EAS and then submit it on Market with a new permission to be able to set up in-app purchases. In your case, if you're not using EAS, if you are already manually deploying or are using another system, go ahead and deploy a new version of your Android application, or you can check out on our channel videos on how to deploy your application using EAS service. And while this is building, let's move to the next step. And our next step is to create a new RevenueCat application. You can follow the link here, or let's browse to RevenueCat website. And from here, if you don't have an account, create one for free by following the Getting Started guide. I have already one, so I'm gonna go ahead right away to my application. Now here, to create a new application, let's go under Project and let's press Create New Project. Let's give it a name. And now that we have created our project and it is selected from our project list, we have the possibility to move on and set up our application with App Store and with Play Store. All right, so let's start by setting up our application on App Store. And for that, let's create the application here on RevenueCat by pressing App Store. Here we will need to give an application name. So let's give not just Medium and the app bundle ID. This is the unique identifier of your application. And to get it, you can check it out in the Xcode under your project, targets. Again, your project, and here there is a bundle identifier. In my case, that is dev.notjust.medium. So I'm gonna put it here. And for now, I'm gonna press Save Changes, and we have our application created here, but that's not it. Now we need to go to the App Store connect.apple.com. And before going to the My Applications, let's go to the last thing here, agreements, tax, and banking, because this is a very important prerequisite step. Without signing the tax agreement for the paid application, you will not be able to receive in-app purchases in your application. So it is very important to sign this paid application in order for everything to work later. All right, once that paid application is done and is under the active status, we can move to the App Store Connect and go to our application. So let's click My Apps. Let's open our application here. Let's go to the features, and here we have in-app purchases. On this page, let's first of all generate the shared secret. So let's press on this app specific shared secret and let's press generate a new app specific secret. Let's copy it from here. Press done, go back to your RevenueCat account, and here where we need the App Store Connect app specific share secret, let's do set secret and paste the secret from App Store. The next step to finish up the configuration part on Apple App Store, let's go to the users and access. From here, let's go to the keys, and on the right, let's choose in-app purchases. And here, let's add a new key. For the name, I'm gonna call it Medium generate. And after generating, we can download the in-app purchases key. So let's download. And with this downloaded key, let's go back to our RevenueCat account on the same page for our iOS application. Let's scroll down until we see this in-app purchases key configuration and drop our file here. For the issuer ID field here, let's go back to our App Store, and here as well under users and access keys, let's go to the first option, App Store Connect API, and the issuer ID is this one that we can copy from here. So let's go back, let's paste the issuer ID, and after that let's scroll up and save the changes. Now that we have set up all of our accounts and keys and so on, we are ready to create our in-app subscription on our App Store Connect. So let's access our application here. Let's scroll a bit, and under the features, we have the first option, in-app purchases. On this page, we can press on the plus icon to start creating our first in-app purchase, and we're gonna choose the auto-renewable subscription. If you don't see this option here, make sure that you have all the agreements signed under the agreements here. Now that we have it, let's select it. Let's create. For the reference name, this is a name that is not going to be displayed to the users, just for our reporting. So I'm going to choose not just Medium Pro subscription. And for the product ID, this is the unique identifier of your subscription. This is very important because that's how we are going to connect our in-app subscription on Apple with our RevenueCat subscription. Another thing is that this product ID should be unique across all your account and all your applications. It's better if we have a consistent system in place of how to name it. A good way for the naming of our products is starting with the application name. So I'm gonna choose Medium. Then the price, we will choose probably $1.99, and after that the duration, for example monthly. Okay, that's good for now. Let's press next. Subscription group name. So now we will be asked to create a subscription group. These groups will ensure that the user will only have one subscription inside the group active at any point in time. He cannot buy two of them. So it's better to group similar subscription products into the same subscription group. For example, the monthly Pro membership with the yearly Pro membership, we would put them together into the same subscription group so that we know for sure that the user, if he upgrades from monthly to yearly, automatically Apple will cancel his monthly subscription and will keep only the yearly one. So for our group name, I'm gonna call it Pro. And on the next page, let's start by filling in the rest of the details. So starting from the top, subscription duration, this is gonna be 1 month. Next, subscription prices. Let's press on the plus icon and press save. Let's press again, and here I'm gonna choose $1.99 a month just for demonstration purposes. On the next page, we can adjust the prices in different currencies. I'm gonna leave them by default how they are here, and I'm gonna press create on the bottom. Let's press on the save button, and after that we are done with our monthly subscription plan. Let's press on the name of our subscription to go back to the previous page. And here we need to provide a couple of more things. So first of all, what is important here is the localization in order to have a name for our subscription. So let's find, I don't know, English. And for the display name, we're gonna do Medium Pro. For description, you can provide more details like read, unlimited articles. Let's press save, and for now that is done. The only thing that you'll also have to do later on is to provide here a screenshot of your paywall and also some review notes describing how your in-app subscription work. This is in order for Apple to easier review your application. Alright, so that's it with our monthly subscription plan. Let's go back to in-app purchases and create the same subscription plan, however with yearly option of paying. So the same, let's press on plus, here auto renewable subscription, create, reference name, not just Medium Pro yearly. And for the product ID, again, Medium _ we want to set the price, for example, $9.99, and for the duration is yearly. So let's press next. The second time it asks us if we want to attach this subscription plan to the same group that we created. So that's what we want, because we want both of these to be in the same group. Let's create and let's follow the same steps that we have done here. So for the duration here, we have 1 year. For the prices, let's click save. Let's go to the prices and I'm gonna choose $9.99. Next, on this page, again, we click create. And our subscription prices have been created. While we're still here, another thing that I want to show you how to do is the free trials that you can provide to the users. So for example, if the user will buy this yearly subscription, I want to give him a 1 week or 1 month free trial at the beginning, and if he passes that free trial, only then he'll be charged the yearly plan. So to do that, here we will go to the introductory offers, and before we can create one, we need to save the prices. Let's first save, and after that, let's press plus under the introductory offers. Here we will select all the countries where we want this free trial to be available in, and a start date and the end date. For the start date, we're gonna select today's date because we want this offer to start now. And for the end date, we will select no end date because we want this free trial to be available to users that are registering at any time in future. Let's create next. And here we have the type of introductory offer. I'm gonna select free, but there are, as you can see, other options. For example, pay as you go or pay upfront. And after that, for the duration, I'm gonna select 1 week for now. Let's click done. After that, let's press save, and we are done with the prices here as well. Let's go back to the yearly plan and see if we managed to do everything. Okay. Yeah, localization is the last step. Let's add the English UK. And for the display name, it's gonna be Medium Pro yearly. And description, get unlimited access to all articles. All right, let's click save, and that's it. However, we need to take one more step, is to add the localization for our subscription groups. So let's click on the subscription groups here on the left side menu. Let's select the Pro subscription group, and here we need to add localization. And the subscription group will be probably Pro, and that's it. We can press save. Back in our in-app purchases, if we see there is an error here, missing metadata, and this is very important because unless the status here is ready for submit, then we will not be able to receive this subscription in our application. So let's have a look at what missing metadata we skipped, and most probably the information that we are missing is actually the review information with a screenshot and the review notes. So I'm gonna choose quickly a screenshot of our paywall here, and after that we will see if missing metadata disappears. And for the review notes, we can add extra details that would help Apple employee to decide if we follow the rules of Apple when implementing subscriptions. After we add this review information, let's press save. And now we see that the status has changed to ready to submit. Let's do the same for the yearly plan. And now both our subscription plans are in the ready to submit status, which is good. And now with this, we are done with setting up all our subscription on Apple App Store. Now we have to do the same thing for our Play Market. We're gonna start to set up all the keys that we need, and after that we need to set up the subscriptions. So here are more documentations if you want to learn more about that, but we're gonna take it step by step and start by creating our Play Store service credential. So to do that, let's go to our Google Play console here, and under the setup, let's check the API access. So I'm gonna click here, and under service accounts, let's press on the create new service account here. In this pop-up, I'm gonna press on the Google Cloud Platform here, and we will be redirected to the Google Cloud Platform from where we can create a service account here up top. So let's press on this one and give account as a name. I'm gonna call it Medium RevenueCat. Create and continue. For the roles, we need to provide 2 roles to this account to be able to access some of the data for our application. One of these role is pub/sub admin. So let's search. Here is the first one, and let's press add another role, and let's find the monitoring view account, monitoring view. I'm gonna scroll down a bit until I see this monitoring viewer. Let's press continue and let's press done. If we don't see the account in this list, let's refresh the page. Now that we see it, this one, Medium RevenueCat, what we see here is no keys. We need to generate a key. To do that, let's press on the three dots here and manage keys. On this page, let's add a new key, create a new key of type JSON. Let's create it. This tab downloaded for us a JSON key. We will need that in a moment. Let's close this tab and let's go back now to the Google Play console. Let's press done and refresh our service accounts. Now that we see our new service account here, let's press on the grant access. Besides the account permissions that are already selected, we will also need to select the financial data so that the RevenueCat account can access the financial data to manage our orders and to see all the orders in our account. So after we select these two, let's invite user, send the invitation. The last step is to assign our application to this service account. So under the users and permissions, if we select the service account that we just created, Medium RevenueCat, I need to add up permissions. So let's press add application and find our Medium application. Apply. Let's click apply. And that's it. Now with our service account created, let's open the JSON file. I'm going to open it somewhere here and I'm going to copy everything from here. Let's copy and we will need it in the next step. The next step is to go back to our RevenueCat dashboard and under applications here we see our iOS application, but we need to press on the new to create our Play Store Android application. For the app name as well, not just Medium. Google Play package is going to be dev.notjust.medium. If you don't know, you can check it out under Android app source main Android manifest. And here on the top, you should see the package name. So going back to RevenueCat, the last step is here, the service account credential JSON. And this is where we will need the service account value. So I'm going to paste the JSON content that we have copied from the file that we just downloaded and press set. Now let's press save changes. And we are done with the service accounts and keys. Okay, now that our application is set up, we can go back to our Play console. Let's go to the all applications, select our application, and we can start setting up our subscription products here. So to do that, let's scroll down under the monetize. And here we see subscriptions. Let's press on this and we can press on the create subscription to start creating our first subscription. For the product ID, I'm gonna keep it consistent with the product IDs that I have set on Apple App Store for easier managing them. So in this case, it's Medium, the price $199 and then M for monthly. For the name, I'm gonna say Pro, unlimited access to all articles. Now for the price, let's select the billing period first, and this is going to be monthly. And the default price, let's set it here, and we can set the price here. I don't know why in my case it's a different currency. I'm gonna set it with 9 because I think that's how much is 199 USD. Yeah, and then I'm gonna apply prices. For subscription options, here we can set the free trial, but we don't need that for the monthly subscription. And that's it. Let's press save, because that's it for our first subscription product. The last step is to activate this subscription product because this is very important. So let's press activate. Now we see it here as active. Awesome. Let's go back and let's create the yearly. So for the product ID, it's Medium underscore 999 and year. Name Pro yearly. Description. Now for the price here, we need to select yearly, and to set the price, I'm gonna choose 45 because that's how much is 9.99 USDs. Apply prices. Now for the free trial, let's enable free trial, and how many days is gonna be 7 days. And that's it. We click save and then activate. All right, so now we have both of these subscription created here on Play Store, and we can move on to connect all our subscription with RevenueCat. Before creating and setting up all our subscription products in RevenueCat, let's first of all talk a little bit about how RevenueCat is grouping all the subscription products into different levels levels and different layers to be able to easily and flexible adjust them as we need. So as we can see here, the first layer are called products. And products are one-to-one mapping between a RevenueCat product and a store product, being it on Play Store or on App Store. This is how we can connect specifically what we created right now on Play Store and App Store with RevenueCat. They represent a single unit that the user is actually buying. At the end of the day, users are buying these products from the store. However, there are a lot of products that give you the same functionalities and the same abilities in the applications. So for example, to give a user access to read unlimited posts in our application, we would have to check if a user has one of these, like the monthly, the annual, or the lifetime on the App Store, or if they have one of the Google Play subscription. So as you can see, checking based on the specific products is quite inefficient because you have to manage a lot of stuff. That's why RevenueCat introduces entitlements. Entitlements are actually the things that allow user to do something in the application. They're basically a gateway that will determine if a user is able to do something or not. With entitlements, we group together different kind of products. So for example, we might have a gold or a pro entitlement that contains all these products. Now, if a user has at least one of these products, for example, if a user has a gold monthly subscription on Apple Store, he will be able to access everything that the gold entitlement is giving him access to. The same way if another user has a Google Play annual subscription, and so on. In a lot of cases, you're gonna have only one entitlement, and that's what we're gonna do today, because we will have only one level of access to our application, the Pro access. But if you want to provide different kind of offers, then you might need to create different entitlements. For example, if you're offering a gold plan and a platinum plan that give you different access to different features, then you'll create two entitlements here and connect them with the products. Now, the last level of grouping in RevenueCat are the offerings. And offerings are built to dynamically manage what you display on the paywall without having to update your application. But offerings works based on packages, and the packages are the group of equivalent store subscription products. So for example, we have a gold monthly package that will have two packages from our first column underneath it that will specify the gold monthly on App Store and the gold monthly on Google Play Store. Now, having these packages, we can take them, group them together into the offerings. These offerings are what are used to display in our application on the paywall screen. So we can run different tests. For example, we can have a default offering that will offer to the user the gold monthly package, the gold annual package, and the platinum life package. And then we can run a test with no monthly offering, only the annual and the life package. By setting these simple two offerings, we can run different experiments without having to update our application, because everything is dynamically managed through the RevenueCat dashboard. So it might seem a little bit confusing in the beginning because there are a lot of groupings, but all of them have a purpose, and we're gonna discuss more on them like later when we actually implement them and when we set up. At the time, it's gonna make a little bit more sense. So let's start by creating and configuring our products on RevenueCat. The first one is to create the first column here, actually the product mapping from RevenueCat to Apple Store and Play Store. To do that, let's go to our dashboard on RevenueCat, and here we have product setup. Let's start with setting up products here. I'm gonna create a new one, identifier. Here we need to specify the identifier of our package. I'm gonna start with the App Store, and the identifier for our Medium Pro is this one, medium_199_M. And here we need to select what store is this identifier set up for. So let's select App Store. Let's create one more. And I'm just gonna change medium 999 yearly. And this is again App Store. Let's add them. And let's do the same thing for the products on the Play Store. So basically they have the same name, and here I'm gonna select Play Store, and the yearly one, $9.99 yearly, and here Play Store, add. Okay, now we have 4 products mapping in our RevenueCat. The next step, let's create entitlement, and we're gonna have only one entitlement, which is going to be called Pro. Let's add the identifier in the description, press add here. And besides creating the entitlement, we need to link the products that belong to this entitlement. So based on the diagram here, we have just created, for example, the Pro entitlement. Now we need to move all the products that belong to that entitlement here. In our case, all our products belong to this Pro entitlement that will give a user unlimited access to all the articles. So let's press attach and select all of them one by one. Okay, that is done. And our last step is to set up offerings. So let's go to the offerings tab here. Let's create a new offering called default. Let's press add. And here we have our default offering that contains 0 packages. Let's press on these 0 packages because we need to create the packages. If you remember, offerings are working based on the packages. So let's go back and let's create a new package here. There are different identifiers like monthly, annual, and so on. Let's choose the monthly one. And here under the packages, we see the monthly and it contains 0 products. Let's press on the 0 products and attach the products. So here we are presented with 2 drop-downs, one for the App Store and one for the Play Store. And we need to group together similar products from different stores. For example, the Medium monthly and the Medium monthly on the Play Store. Attach. And that's it for our monthly package. Let's go back and under the packages, let's create a new one for the yearly, where it is, annual. Let's click add and let's go to the 0 products here under annual to create and set up the products. So let's attach and we will select the yearly packages for both App Store and the Play Store. Attach. That's it with all the setup that we need to do and on RevenueCat. We have created the products. Then we have grouped them together into entitlements that will specify what is the user being able to access, what does he have access to. After that, we have created a default offering that will be used to display the subscription here on our paywall. And we have set 2 packages here for the monthly and for the annual subscription. So that was it with all the setup that we have to do. The next step will be to get into the code and start implementing it in our application. Okay, so now let's move to our coding part. And the first step is to configure purchases using our API key. So let's open our application and we need to configure purchases only once, and usually that is done in our app.js. And to configure them only when the application is mounted, we're gonna use a use effect hook with an empty dependency list. That's how we make sure that this use effect function is going to be called only once when the component mounts. So what do we have to do here? First of all, let's enable in set debug logs enable to true. This will make sure that we will receive more debug logs for our application to be able to easier debug if we have any errors. Now we will need to call the purchases.setup by providing here the API key of our RevenueCat application. The thing is that RevenueCat provides us with 2 different keys, one for iOS and one for Android. And that's why we need to first check if we are running on Android or on iOS and use the respective key. So for that, I'm gonna import platform from React Native, and I'm gonna have a check. If platform.os is equal to iOS, then do purchases.setup with iOS, let's have it like this, iOS RevCat key. Otherwise, if platform is equal to Android, we will do the same thing but only with our Android RevenueCat key. Let's declare these constants here and go to our RevenueCat account here, and under the API keys we will see the keys for our Android and iOS. The first one here is for iOS, so let's copy it And the second one here is for Android. All right, so that's it with configuring purchases to connect with our specific app on RevenueCat. Let's move on to the next step. And the next step is to display available products on our paywall here. So first of all, we will need to call purchases.getOfferings, and this will return all our available offers from where we will be able to take the packages and display them in a list here. So let's go to our to the screens, to the paywall screen, paywall screen.js. And here where we have it, the paywall screen, we will fetch the offerings when the paywall screen mounts. So for that, again, we will need a use effect with an empty dependency array. In this use effect, let's call a function fetch offerings because we need this function to be async, and we're gonna declare it here. Fetch offerings equal async function here. We will need to do try catch because this is a network call, so a lot of things might go wrong. That's why we need the try catch block. Here I'm gonna simply console log the error for now. And in the try block, we can get the offerings by calling await purchases dot get offerings. Let's console log the offerings and see what we have. The thing is that on iOS simulator, we will not be able to get the offerings. Now to be able to see the offerings returned by purchases, let's enable debug and let's rerun our application. And let's go to the paywall. Let's press continue. And here is our offerings. So what do we see here? We see an object with two keys, all and current. All will contain all our offerings that we have created, but because we have created only one, it contains only this one. What we are interested in is the current offer that will contain the offer that is currently selected. So here under the current offer, we have available packages. We have two packages, one monthly and one annual. For the product, we see all the details here, like the price, the title, the discounts, intro price, and so on. For example, here in the product, we have the intro price of 1 week, price string $0. If you see all these products, great, like everything is awesome, and we can continue implementing the other features. However, this step might showcase some of the errors that you have done previously. So if here you do not receive any offers under this object, that means that you have an error in the configuration that we have done so far. The most common reason for packaging missing in the Apple application is the out-of-date paid application agreement. So double check if your paid application agreement is signed and is up to date, or another reason might be that the products are not in the ready to submit state. So also check that your in-app purchases are in the state ready to submit. For Android, this is usually occurs when the app is not published on a closed track and a valid test user added. So first of all, double check these very common issues, and if that's also not working, you can check this blog post here on RevenueCat blog that describes all the reasons why your application might not display available products. Alright, so now that we have data about our products, now we have to dynamically display them on the screen, because at the moment we simply display them statically. What I'm gonna do, most probably I'm gonna remove the second type of offer and keep only one type of offer in terms of design, this one with a black box, just because to keep it simple and not to have a lot of if statements. But before being able to display them on our screen here dynamically, we first of all need to keep them in state. So let's keep the offer, the current offer in state as offer, and here set offer equal use state null. And here I'm gonna do an extra check to see if offerings.current is not null. Then I'm gonna set it in state, set offerings.current. Okay, having this offer in state, let's go ahead and dynamically display the products here. But for that, I will need to see the structure of our offerings. So if I look here at the current, what do we have? We have available packages, and here it's an array. So that's what we will have to loop through. First of all, if the offer is actually null, I want to render simply an activity indicator. Otherwise, I want to render all the packages that are available. So I'm gonna do offer dot available packages dot map, and we're gonna map for all packages. We are going to render this view. Okay, let's try it again. All right, we already see two of these boxes, even though they still display dummy data. What's next? What's next? The next step is, of course, to provide a key to this view because we are mapping, and the key would be package.identifier. Now, for the price here, instead of it, we're gonna do package.product.price_string. Save. And I see an expected reserved word package. Yes, because package is a keyword in JavaScript, so I'm gonna name it, I don't know, pack, simply pack. And let's replace the name here. All right, so right away I see $199 a month here and $949 a month on the bottom. The only thing is that this month should also be dynamic because it should be either month or year. So let's see what data do we have here under the product. Under the product, we don't have a specification of monthly or yearly, but under the package itself, we have a package type monthly. So let's do it like this. Pack.package type monthly annual. And I don't know, we can provide a simple get package type string type. So I'm gonna say if type is equal to monthly, I'm gonna return per month. And if type is equal to annual, I'm gonna return year. And here I'm gonna copy the where we have a package type. I'm gonna call the get package type string in order to display better strings there. For example, $199 a month, and here $949 a year. For the free trial, also, we can do it dynamically by checking if the product has intro price. So for example, the first one doesn't have, but the second one here under the product, we have intro price. And we also have the period number of units and the period unit week, for example, 1 week. We can do it like this. We're gonna render it conditionally only if the pack.product has, how is it called, intro price. And let's add it as a string, this one. Okay, so for the first one we see $199 a month, but here we see $949 a year after trial ends. And you can even provide more details here. For example, after, let's say, intro price dot period number of units, and this is going to be, for example, the number 1, and then we also need to provide the period unit here, and we can say even free trial. For the offer title, I'm gonna go here and say text align center. Okay, now it looks better, and everything now is dynamic. So this one is $199 a month, this one is $949 a year after 1 week, free trial ends. If I'm gonna run it on Android, let's check it out, and we see the same. The only difference is the prices on Android here are a bit different because that's how I set up them on Play Store. And also we see at the end here that $10.30 a year after 7-day free trial. So on Google Play, the free trial is measured in days. On Apple Store is in weeks. If you want, you can adjust that with a couple of lines of code, but for now, I think that's good for us. Now that I see that on Android here, not everything fits, I will fix it real quick by importing a scroll view from React Native and wrapping our whole component in a scroll view like this. Let's close it at the end, save. Okay, now we are sure that the user will be able to see everything from the page and to scroll through the offerings. Okay, that was it with displaying the products. As you can see, we receive a lot of data from RevenueCat about our products, and you can adjust and make your paywall screen as dynamic as possible. And RevenueCat recommends you to hard code as little as possible in your screen. In order to be able to adjust your offerings from the dashboard without having to update anything in your application. So for example, from the Medium RevenueCat, if I go to offerings and let me create a new offerings test offer, and in the test offer I'm gonna add only one package for the monthly. I'm not gonna offer any yearly subscription. Let me add quickly the products as well. For example, monthly here and monthly here, attach. Now if I go back to the offerings, I can make this test offer current, make current if I update the application. And if I'm gonna go to the paywall, I see only the monthly offering without having to update anything in our code. So if you make your paywall dynamic and hard code as little values as possible, then your marketing team and your marketing department, if it's you or any other person, will be able to play and test a lot of things from RevenueCat dashboard without touching the code. So I'm gonna make the default one current to see both the monthly and yearly subscription. All right, so let's move to the next step, and our next step is to actually make a purchase. So to do that, we simply have to call the purchase package on the purchases object, and let's copy this code, the sample code from our presentation, and go in our project where we have the pressable start free trial, or I'm actually gonna rename the start free trial with simply buy. You can dynamically change the name of the button based on if you have intro price to be start free trial, otherwise buy. I'm gonna keep it simple like this. And for the pressable, what we are gonna do is on press. What should happen when we press on this button? We will call the buy package, and we will send this pack here. Okay, let's now implement this buy package method. Const buy package, and we're gonna receive the pack. And here we will paste this code. This function should be async, by the way, because we are calling await here. And instead of package here, I'm gonna use pack because package, we cannot use that name. And here, instead of show error, I'm gonna simply do console log error for now. So what is happening here? First of all, we are calling the purchases.purchase package on the specific package that we want to purchase. Then we get back the information about the user, and using this information about the user, we can check if he has an active entitlement that we are trying to buy. What we will have also to change is here, instead of my entitlement identifier, to change it to your actual entitlement identifier. In my case, that's pro, but double check how you name them here in the entitlements. And also, I'm not gonna need the product identifier here, so I can simply save it like this. So we are checking if our entitlement is actually defined. That means that the user actually has that entitlement. Then we will unlock the grade pro content for the user. Unlocking the content, what should happen? It should actually close this paywall. So I'm gonna simply do navigation dot go back. All right, now it's time to test our purchasing. So if we're gonna try to test it here, we need to sign in with an Apple ID, and we will need to actually subscribe and spend this amount of money to test if everything is working. However, it's possible to test with sandbox accounts without being charged. So if we go to the RevenueCat documentation and under testing, let's go to the sandbox testing. Let's go first to where? Let's start with Apple App Store testing. So the first step is we need to create a sandbox test account. And to do that, we're gonna need to go to the App Store Connect, users and sandbox testers. Let's do that. App Store Connect. Here, let's select users and access. And in the left menu under the sandbox, there is the testers. Go ahead and create one sandbox tester with a valid email. You need to have a valid email because you will need to confirm it. After you have filled in everything here, I already have done it with my accounts. We are ready to set it up on our physical device. For iOS, it's easier to test on physical devices, but you can also test on emulators if you follow the iOS testing on simulator. You will have to take a couple of steps to set up the store kit, add the files and so on. It's possible, it's going to be easier after you configure everything, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to connect my physical phone to my computer. I'm gonna open Xcode, and from Xcode here I'm gonna choose my iOS device that I have connected with a cable to my computer. So let's press play to run it on my device. Alright, so now that our application is running on our device, we need to take one more step. We need to set up our sandbox account. So let's go to the settings, and here let's scroll down until we see App Store. In the App Store tab, scroll down a bit until you see the sandbox account. In my case, I already have set my sandbox account, but you can easily log in with your sandbox account that we have created in the previous step on the App Store Connect website. After that is done, we can give it a go to our application and check out our paywall if it's working. So before that, I'm gonna want to debug with Chrome, and once that's done, let's go to the paywall and let's start to press on the buy for the first one. We right away see purchasing, so there are details for testing purposes only. You will not be charged for confirming this purchase, and our account is the sandbox account. As well, in some cases you might be asked to sign in your sandbox account at this step as well, so go follow that, and after that we can press subscribe. Here it asks me for the password. After we log in, we are right away redirected back to the post, and our subscription has been confirmed. To double check that, we can go to our dashboard here on RevenueCat and see if we have any subscriptions. First of all, press on this view sandbox data on top. So let's press on that. And a few seconds ago, we have a new customer that has signed up for the free trial. Awesome. That means that our purchasing worked, and we can try, I don't know, to upgrade to the yearly. So if I press here buy, I see that Medium Pro yearly starting on February, $9.99 per year. Let's subscribe. After signing in, we see done, and our subscription has been updated. Back on our RevenueCat, if I update, if I select view sandbox data, and if I press on the latest user here, in the history I see that he first started on the monthly payment, and after that he changed and renewed their subscription to the yearly plan here. That's it. That means that our purchases work on iOS. Now we can try and test them on an Android. Let's go back to our documentation, and for the sandbox testing, let's press on the Google Play Store. Here we specify that Google recommends using a real device. However, I have tested it, and they also have been working with emulators, and on emulators everything is working successfully. The only thing is that you should check if your emulator has Google Play services. To check that, you can simply check on the emulator if you actually have this Play services. If not, go ahead and install another emulator that has the Play services on it. The next step is to create a test user and configure it in our Play console. So for that, let's open it up. Let's go to the Google Play console. Under setup, let's go to the license testing. Add your Google account here under the license testers, and make sure that you sign to the Play Store on your emulator with the same account as you have added here. So in my case, I have it here, my account, the same account as on the Play Store on the emulator. And after adding the license testing, let's go to our application, and under the closed testing, let's open the alpha track and make sure that you have testers here. So go to the testers, and if you don't have an email list, you can create an email list right away here. I have a testers email list. Under add email addresses, let's add my account. Press enter, and when you see here your email under the email addresses, we can press save changes. All right, that was it from here. Let's go ahead and test purchases here as well. So let's open our paywall and let's try to buy the monthly subscription. We right away see the pro subscription. Starting today, we're gonna pay this amount of money and we can cancel in any time. And we see here that we are gonna use a test card because we are using a sandbox account. So let's press subscribe. We're not gonna be charged for that. And after that, we can press no thanks and subscribed. After we are going back, we should automatically be redirected back to the post page. All right, that's working as well. Without any errors, we can go ahead in the RevenueCat to see the new customer if it was registered. So let's press view sandbox data. We see a few seconds ago, and if I press on this one, we see that started a subscription on Android for the monthly subscription. If I'm gonna try to upgrade, we can subscribe here. And if I'm gonna check again the same user with a few seconds ago, we will see that he started the subscription for the yearly plan here. Yes, that means that everything is working perfectly both on iOS and on Android, and we can safely move to the next step. Our next step is to get the subscription status, and we're gonna need to get the subscription status in order to know if we want to show this overlay here, like keep reading, or if we need to allow users to read unlimited articles. So to get the subscription status, let's grab this code from here. Let's go in our application and in the screens, I'm gonna go to the post screen. Let's open it here. And we need to, in the post screen, we need to decide if the user has the pro membership or not. To do that, let's call the function in a use effect, check user membership, and let's implement this check user membership function. I'm gonna move them a bit below this one. It's gonna be an async function, and here we're gonna paste the code from our presentation. All right, so in the catch, we can simply console log the error. For now, we need to import purchases from React Native purchases. And yeah, the way we are checking it is very similar to how we did on the paywall here. The only difference is that on the paywall, when we buy a package, we get the user information, the purchaser information by calling the purchase package. Here, we're gonna get the purchaser information by calling the get purchaser info. So let's update here my entitlement identifier as well to the identifier of your entitlement. In my case, that's pro. And to grant user pro access, I'm gonna set paywall shown to false. So now if I go to a page, let's open it. I right away don't see the paywall because we are subscribed. In order to test if that is actually working, let's go to the dashboard and let's try to delete this customer. Here on the RevenueCat dashboard, if I check view sandbox data, my customer is the latest one. If we scroll down here, there is manage and we can delete user. So deleting user is recommended only for test users because it will impact like how your charts, your graphs are looking. So now that we have deleted it, let's try again to go to the post page. Now, if I open the page, I see this paywall. And if I try to buy, the problem is that on Google, we are still having this subscription. So I'm going to go to manage subscription. I'm gonna select the one that I have and I'm gonna press cancel subscription. Now back on our paywall, I can buy again our monthly subscription. Let's subscribe and we're redirected back to the post page. But our this little paywall didn't disappear because we are checking user membership only when the component mounts. To solve this issue that our paywall is still shown even after buying it, because if I just simply refresh, then our paywall will disappear. But the problem is that at that moment in time when you buy it, go back, you need to see the new paywall. Well, to do that, there is a way to listen for purchaser info updates by subscribing to this add purchaser info updates listener. And by doing that, we are gonna be notified every time the information about purchaser updates. That's exactly what we need here. So here in this use effect, where we call check user membership, this use effect will be called when the component mounts. Besides checking for user memberships, let's also subscribe to updates. And when an update happens, I will simply call check user membership. All right, let's double test now. For that, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the user and try it again. So see you in a second. So now let's try it again. We see the paywall here. Let's press continue. Let's buy the monthly subscription. I already have it, so I'm gonna try to buy the yearly one. Subscribe. The user has subscribed. Now we are redirected back to the post, but without doing anything, our paywall disappeared because we are listening to updates, and every time there is a new update to the user, we're gonna check the membership again. And with this being said, we are done with the part where we check the user subscription status and show different parts of the application based on that. The next step is to implement the restore purchases mechanism. Restore purchases mechanism is a way to give users the possibility to restore all their purchases that they have made in the past. This is very useful in cases that users, I don't know, change phones or something happens and we need to sync RevenueCat subscriptions with the Google Play and Apple App Store functionalities. To restore purchases, we simply call purchases.restore transactions. So let's copy this code and let's see where we're gonna put it. You can definitely put it in some settings page on your application. In my case, I don't have a settings page. That's why I'm gonna put it in the home screen JS, and below the flat list, or even as the list footer component, I will do it like this. We are going to simply render a text, restore transactions, and on press, I'm gonna call restore transactions. Let's implement this function here, and let's paste the code from our presentation here. So the function should be async, and we will need to import purchases. Another thing is to properly style this text with color white to be able to see it. That's good. It's here on the bottom. And to test it out, I'm gonna go to our application, to the sandbox data, and for the last user, let me delete it. Now, if I will refresh the page, and if I'm gonna try to access one of these pages, we will see the paywall. But because we have already bought this subscription, we can press on the restore transactions. And after that, let's press on a post. And now we are back able to see everything here. And if I will look in the RevenueCat sandbox data, we see the user that was created before. That's it when it comes to restoring purchases. This is important, especially in the applications where you do not provide a logging mechanism, because if you do provide a logging mechanism, it's gonna be easier to link a subscribed user in RevenueCat to your database user that is signing in your application. Speaking about identifying users and linking your database users with RevenueCat users, let's go to the next step. And here we see how it is possible to identify users and link them together. My application unfortunately does not have a logging mechanism, but if it would have, what we can do is to call purchases.identify with the user ID of your application from the database. By doing this, RevenueCat in the customer profile, instead of an anonymous ID, will provide the ID of your user that you specify there. This way, you make sure to link together users with the same account. So if the same user is logging into a different device, then you're gonna give him access to the things that he bought previously. As a demonstration purpose, I'm gonna simply call this method. In the home screen here, I'm gonna add another text button here for login, and here let's do login. And yes, I will need to wrap them into a fragment. And our login function, const, it's gonna be async. Here we will first log in with your database, and after the user is logged in with your database, we can call, let me actually bring the code from here and put it inside the try, and after that catch console log error. Apparently the method has been updated from identify to login in order to be more descriptive. So yeah, let's change it to login here, and let's specify a random app user ID. Let's save. And now if I'm going to press login here, we don't see anything happening. However, if I'm gonna go to RevenueCat, view sandbox data, if I'm gonna press login, default login is not a function because it's log in like this. Let's try it right now. Okay, it worked. It didn't throw any errors. And if I'm gonna go back to our RevenueCat dashboard, I'm gonna view sandbox data. And as we see here, our user has been created. And if I go to the RevenueCat, let's check view sandbox data. Already I see our user random user ID. I created it a couple of times, but yeah, we see it here. So we initially started a subscription. Then we have created a new alias random app user ID. The alias is a way to link different IDs to the same user. So our anonymous ID that was originally generated will point to the same user as our new alias that we used when logging in with a user account. And after that, when you want to log out the user, you simply call purchases.logout. And that's it. You are done with identifying users. If you want to learn more about identifying users, go to the documentation and here identify users. We explain pretty well how everything works and specifically like how merging two accounts whenever you log in happens. So here we describe if they create a new account or if they will merge the two accounts together. And that's it for today. Congratulations, you have implemented a fully featured subscription purchasing system without having to spend a full month on writing server code and managing everything yourself. I really hope that you managed to implement everything without a lot of issues. If you had some issues from here to there, like that's okay. I spent a lot of time preparing for this video, so that's why everything looked so smooth in the video. But again, like we all go through the issues and problems, and if you encounter some of them, like here are some resources that might help you out. So there is the RevenueCat documentation that is very well described and has all the scenarios that you need. And also if you still didn't find a solution for your issue, check out the RevenueCat Help Center, where you will also find some specific issues and specific problems with their solutions. You can also ask us on Discord, and I'm gonna try to help you out there, or any other people that encounter the same error will help you out. With that being said, thank you very much for watching till the end, guys. I really hope that you found this tutorial valuable, and please let me know down below what other tools and what other features you would like us to cover and teach on this channel, because we have a lot of plans for this year, but we want to make sure that what we are doing here is something that is valuable to you. The only thing that I would like to ask you here at the end is to smash that subscribe button, because this is helping us a lot. Take care, guys, stay hydrated and write clean code. I am out.